I've messed up here. Good morning everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Cooper of Cooper's Mobile Mechanics, and we've got just another week of being a mobile mechanic really. I don't normally do the full week. I'll just sort of pick and choose jobs throughout the week. Sometimes I think about filming, but just get so involved in a job that I just, to be honest, completely forget. Yeah, if I did the whole week, I think it would just make every job a lot longer, because it does take a bit of time filming and things. So yeah, I'll just try and pick and choose jobs. And also some weeks I've sort of got the same sort of service in regularly throughout the week, so I think if I filmed every one of those you'd probably get a bit bored after a little while. But yeah, we'll get straight to it. First job this morning is a service on an Audi A3. Again, just a routine service. I serviced it last year, did a lot of work on it, so I highly doubt there's going to be anything wrong with it, anything worth showing you. But if there is, then I'll show you. But yeah, I imagine it's just going to be pretty straightforward. And then the second job I've got is a Volvo XC60, I think it is. Customer phoned me up over the weekend, just to say that their auxiliary belt had snapped. I think the recovery company had gone over and had a look at it over the weekend, so it just needs a belt. So yeah, I've got that on order. I'm just going to take it with me and go and swap it over. So now we're at the second job of the day. And this customer phoned me up over the weekend to say that her battery light came on and she lost all power steering. And down there, you can probably see why. The auxiliary belt, it's not there. So she did have the AA come out. I think they came out yesterday to have a look. He just stuck his head down and said, yeah, you need a new belt. So I've come here with a new belt. I was taking off it's got a plastic cover just here. I just sit up there, so I've just taken that off and pulled the belt out. You see there it's snapped. Luckily, it's a fairly clean snap, so it doesn't look like any. Sometimes what happens when the belt goes, it can wrap itself around the clamp pulley and around the tension and things like that, but it does look nice and clean. But what I am going to do is check I'm going to check the tensioner, make sure that's okay, and check all the pulleys, just to see if anything's seized. Because she did tell me that she had a timing belt and the auxiliary belt replaced 3 years ago. So it's fairly unusual for it to snap within 3 years. So I just want to check and make sure everything's okay, see if there's a reason why it snapped. The tensioner itself, so I've got my ratchet on there. It feels okay. You can pull it back and it springs back nicely. So I would say this tensioner is not an issue. I'm just going to check the alternator pulley next. Right, now I believe I've found the cause of the issue. So that's your alternator there. The pulley on this is called an overrun pulley. So you should be able to turn this pulley one way but not the other without turning the alternator. So I've got a long pick just down inside the alternator there to lock it off. Now what I mean by turning it one way and not the other, with that in there, to lock the alternator off, you should be able to turn this pulley one way but not the other. Now what happens on these is these pulleys seize up, so if I reach down there and try and turn it, I can't turn it that way and I can't turn it that way. So my belief is that because that's seized up, that has actually caused sort of excess strain on the belt and caused it to snap. So it's going to need a new pulley as well. Now, annoyingly, when I spoke to this customer on the phone at the weekend, she said that AA were coming over. I said to her, just speak to the AA bloke and say to him, rather than just sticking his head in and saying, yeah, your belt's snapped, just get him to check the pulleys, because I had a suspicion that this would be the case. But obviously, he just didn't bother, did he? Literally, she said he was here for 2 minutes, opened the bonnet, and just pointed and said, yeah, your belt's gone. So if he would have actually spent 2 more minutes on top of that checking the pulleys, I could have come here with a new pulley and got it all sorted. But as it stands, I've just made the call. They can get a pulley, but not until later on this evening. So I'm going to have to either leave it as it is and come back later on tonight or tomorrow and sort it, or I'm going to see if I can put the belt on now, just so that she can at least drive the car for the next half a day or a day or so, and then come back and sort it. But yeah, it's a bit annoying. I could have come armed with both parts that I needed and got it done and dusted, but yeah, never mind. I'm back now with the Skoda Citigo, the rear brakes. You may have seen this on the last video. If you haven't, by all means go back and have a look. But basically he was having a squeaking from the rear brakes, and when I took this drum off, so the wheel cylinder here is all leaking brake fluid. So I've come back today to replace that. We're going to do both sides, replace the wheel cylinder, replace the shoes and the drums. I've got a new spring fitting kit to go as well, and then give it all a clean up, get them all swapped over, and then obviously bleed the brakes after. To start with, I've just taken off the wheel bearing because that sits over there, so just taking that off just gives you a lot more room to get everything out. So these are fairly straightforward. They're a little bit fiddly, but basically just got to start with, you've got two clips here, so you've got a pin that goes from behind there. These turn 90 degrees. Get those out, pop them out from the bottom, and then the whole shoes come off. And then we just need to clamp off the brake pipe. There's one bolt holding in this wheel cylinder. You can get that out, and then like I say, get it all cleaned up, get the new ones in. That's them all swapped over. So got the new wheel cylinder on there, new shoes, comes with new springs. The only thing the fitting kit doesn't come with, annoyingly, is this bar here. So you've got to strip all the old ones down to sort of swap that bar over, if you like. A little bit annoying because if the kit came with this bar, it would be a lot easier. You wouldn't have to strip the old ones down. You could just build the new ones up. But they're all on, so I've got a new drum to put on as well, and then I'll go ahead and do the other side, and then I'll bleed the two together. That's both sides done, and now I've just got the pressure bleeder on. I'm just bleeding out the brakes. So I've done the passenger side rear, and I'm just doing the driver side rear. And then, same as I've said before, I'm just going to knock the pressure bleeder off, and I'll pump the pedal, and then I'll just do the same process over again just to make sure it's all good. Just out for a little test drive in this Skoda now after doing the brakes. It's all feeling good. Brake pedal feels nice and firm. There's no squeaking from the back, which was the customer's original complaint. So yeah, I'm happy with that. So I'm back with the Volvo from this morning. This is the pulley that I was talking about. This is essentially what I mean. So when I say that it was seized, so there's a tool there to get it out. So with that in place, sort of holding the inside, so it's got a bearing around the pulley. If you lock it in place, you should be able to turn it one way, but if I try and twist it, it's not going anywhere. If I get my new one, so I've got an INA pulley here, put it in there, see how you can turn it that way. Can't turn it the other way, but that way you can. So that, I believe, will be the cause of the snap belt. So I'm just going to swap that over now, get a new belt on. So the engine running, we've got just under 14 volts, which is good. And lastly, I just want to check just to make sure that the belt's running smoothly. It's running true, it's not bouncing around anywhere. So that's all looking good to me. So I'm just going to get it all pieced together, and then that'll all be done. Alright, so it's Wednesday today, I think. Yeah, Wednesday. Been a busy week this week, to be honest with you. I was going to film, I did a Dacia cam out yesterday that I was going to film, but I just sort of got involved straight away, and then before I knew it, the belt and pump was off. So yeah, I didn't film that. Today, I'm on the back foot a little bit, just had to sort a few things out this morning. But I'm here with I've got an X3 just to do a service on, and then I've got a 3 Series for a service after. That's service and a brake fluid change. But yeah, it's just been a really busy week. I had a lot of jobs on, and I've also had loads to sort of price up. So I've been working late each evening. I've been working late. I'm just tired. Well, it's only Wednesday, but it feels like I've been doing a full week already. But hopefully, should just have some nice straightforward jobs. Really I've got a service on this, service later on. Just services really the rest of the week. Yeah, pretty straightforward. I've messed up here. So I took this filter out, got my new one on here, Man, BMW filter. I was like, right, sound, that's the right one. Looked at it and I realised this one's different. So I thought, great, they've given me the wrong filter. Then I started looking around. I've got this one, and then I've got a 3 Series to do after, and then I've got another X3 to do on Friday. But then I started looking around in my box and thought, so this is my drawer where I keep sort of parts of my filters for the week. I thought, well, where's my filter for the 3 Series later? And I haven't got one for the X3 on Friday either. Completely forgot that when I ordered all my parts last Friday, they didn't have this filter and my 3 Series one later on. They didn't have those in stock, so I had to go and collect them on Monday. And I never did I? So, yeah, I'm gonna have to run over there and go and grab a filter for this one, go and get one for my job later on. So that's gonna put me back a little bit more than I already am today. So I've got my filters now, but that's added about half an hour onto the day, which is annoying because I was on the back foot anyway. I had to sort out a few things this morning, which meant I got to my first job late, so I was already on the back foot. And now it's just added probably another half an hour going and collecting the filters. But it's my own fault. The problem is I'm so busy at the minute anyway, and over the weekend I got about 10 messages asking for prices on jobs, asking for prices on services and things like that. So then, as well as doing all my jobs, in between I'm trying to price up all these jobs and get people booked in, this, that and the other. I'm trying to just, it's hard sometimes trying to juggle everything. You're doing so many different jobs, if you like. Like when you're self-employed, if you're working on your own, you're the technician, you're also sorting out all the parts, you're doing all the bookings, you're just managing everything, sorting out all the money and finances and all that sort of thing. Like you're juggling about 4 or 5 different job roles at the same time. And in this instance, it's just got a little bit too much, I guess. I just completely forgot to go and collect these filters. So yeah, it is what it is. We're on our way now. We can go and finish off this service. I'll need to message my next service and just let him know I'm going to be a little bit late. But yeah, we'll get it done. Just adds unnecessary stress, doesn't it? So the service is done. But what I'm going to do, so I've reset the service light, so that's not showing in 2 years time or 19,000 miles. Brake fluid change is due in May, so I'm going to just let him know about that. But also the rear brake pads, so they're showing as being due in 3,200 miles, and I would have measured them. They're actually measuring at 7mm on the pad, so I'm just going to adjust that on the computer so that it shows the correct reading on the iDrive. So what I want to do is go here, CBS correction data. So this should give you all the list of the different service intervals and what's left on them. Click on yes there. And then this way you can, so rather than just completely resetting it, so like the oil change, I've reset that, so that's now at 100%. I don't want the rear brakes to be 100% because they're not brand new. So you go into the correction data, click on that one. And then what you can do is go onto that one. So you input what the actual measurement is. I'll press F2 on there. Yep. So I've gone to it. So there was 7mm. Press OK. So do you wish to correct the brake pad thickness? Yes, I do. Do I want to change the service counter? I'm going to put no because I haven't changed the pads. I've just correcting it here. I'll put on no there. So now it's changed to 44%, which sounds a lot better. Like I say, they're 7mm, so the way they were showing was basically saying they needed changing, which obviously they don't at 7mm. So I've put them correct. They come when they're new. Rear pads, they're probably what 10 or 11mm from new. So yeah, 7mm. That's about right because it will tell you they want changing when they're about 3 millimeters and below. So that's all sorted. Like I say, service light is already done. I've done all my checks, so I've just got to do all the paperwork, and then that's all done. It's now Thursday, and I've just got some rear brakes to do on a Range Rover. We're not sure yet if I'm doing disc and pads or just pads. He wasn't sure what it needed, so I brought them both with me, and then I'm just going to measure the discs, see if they're within spec, check the condition of them, and if they're alright, yeah, we'll just put some new pads on. So first thing, just need to wind back this electronic parking brake. So we've gone to the brake pad replacement, put in service mode. Okay, so we've got the handbrake off already. Start the engine. We've just got to wait for the timer. Sometimes on these Range Rovers, they can take quite a while. Sometimes it'll be sort of 30 seconds, then it'll say to turn the ignition off, 30 seconds, back on again, so we'll go through it all a few times. But there you go, operation successful. So I'll press OK on there. I can now go ahead and change the brakes, and then once I'm finished, I'll just have to go into that one there to exit the maintenance mode. Now I've got the wheel off, just need to get this caliper off, so it's just 2 bolts there, this little spring clip, and then obviously got your brake wear sensor as well that we're going to change. So I'll get the caliper off, get the discs out, and then I'll get the micrometer and measure the thickness of the brake discs. Condition wise, they're alright, to be fair. Little marks on them, like, but when you run your finger over, they haven't got like score marks in there or anything. Once we get it off, we'll check the back as well, just make sure they're okay. The minimum thickness of these discs is 18 millimeters, and these are measuring just over 19, so there's plenty on those. I say condition wise, they're absolutely fine, to be fair, so they'll be fine to put just a set of brake pads on. So we'll get the piston wound back, clean up the carriers, so that the pads can slide nicely, and yeah, it'll be nice for the customer, make it a little bit cheaper for him, and now I can just the discs I've bought with me, I can just send them back. So I've wound the piston back, I've cleaned up these carriers, put a bit of brake paste on the contacts of the pads where they're going to be sliding in. This is probably one of the most important parts, I think, of doing a brake job, is making sure that they're clean and they slide around. I see so many where I get to some brakes that have been fitted previously by someone else, and they're wedged in, they're all rusty, they haven't been cleaned up at all. So yeah, just make sure they're really nice and free and easy before putting them back together. Lovely, that's all done. Sensors in, just follows the route, sort of all down here, goes down the back. Quite a long sensor, goes all the way back there. Just sort of had to get underneath the car just to get to it. But yeah, that's all done. Go and do the other side, and then we can sort out the electronic handbrake and get that back to where it should be. Right, they're all done. Exit maintenance mode. Okay. Battery voltage is a bit low. Start the engine. Right, run the engine. Okay. That's saying it's all done. I just want to make sure that the handbrake works. That's on. Off. I'm going to just do that a couple of times, just make sure it's okay. No errors come up. That's all good. So yeah, I'll just take it for a drive, and then that'll be the job done. I'm just going to go and collect some parts from GSF ready for next week, and then just arrived for my next job, which is a service on a Ford Focus. So I'll keep all my parts, all the filters in these drawers here. But you can see it's just full of man filters. I've got quite a lot of services over the next week. And what I've started doing, well, I used to do it when I very first started. I was really organised, and I used to write the vehicle registration on each filter, and I've just stopped doing that. To be honest, the more busy I got, the less time I had to do things like this. So yeah, I'm going to start doing it again, just to make life a lot easier, because times like this, when I've got a service, I open my drawer and I've got about 20-man filters in there. I'm trying to figure out which one's for which car. It just makes life a lot easier, doesn't it? That's interesting. Just open up the bonnet. Like I said, it's just straightforward service. Opened up the bonnet and thought, why does the coolant header tank look black? Opened it up and it is full of oil. So that's not good. It looks to me, just looking down here, that the oil cooler has got quite a bit of oil on it. So that's the oil cooler there. It sits on the oil filter housing. And they'll have seals in between the housing and the cooler. So if there's oil there, then I'll fully imagine there's oil getting into the coolant as well. That'll be where it's coming from. Now the problem I've got is obviously I'm here to service the car. So if I service it now, I'm going to be changing the oil in the oil filter. Obviously it's only booked in for a service, so I haven't got any other time to do anything else coolant related. But if there's oil in the coolant, then I imagine there's going to be coolant getting into the oil as well, isn't there? So if I service it now and then rebook him to sort out changing the oil cooler, it's going to need the oil cooler changing, the whole system flushing out, maybe a new coolant header tank. Hopefully the oil hasn't sort of gotten in and blocked up like the heater matrix and the radiator and that. Hopefully you should just be able to flush all that out, but bare minimum it's going to need the oil cooler and seals, maybe an oil filter housing, because that's plastic, so maybe that's warped. I've seen that before. And then it's all going to need flushing out, isn't it, and a coolant header tank. So if I rebook him for that, say in a couple of weeks' time when I've got availability, I'm probably going to need to change the oil again, aren't I? Because coolant might have gotten into there. So is it really worth servicing it today, or do we just hang fire today, rebook him, and just do the whole lot all in one hit? So he's not here at the house actually, he's just sort of left the key. So I'll phone him up, drop him a text, hopefully he can respond because he's at work, and we'll try and sort out a plan. Right, that's the plan sorted then. Just spoke to the customer. We're going to hang fire with the service today. So like we both said, there's no point, is there? No point in draining the oil. And then because you're just going to have to redo it all over again anyway. So yeah, I'll piece it all back together for today, get it all priced up and come back another time and do the whole lot together. Right, so it's Friday. We're hoping for a better day today. A more straightforward, simple day, hopefully. There's just been too many things this week that just haven't gone to plan. Either not ordering parts and not collecting them from a job, so getting to my jobs and realising I haven't got them. Or even like yesterday, going over to do that service, finding all the oil in the coolant. It's not a huge issue because we're going to rebook to do all of the additional work and the service together, but that'll be in a couple of weeks. But obviously it means that yesterday, I lost out on money basically because I couldn't do the job. And then, like I said, over the weekend, last weekend, I got loads of messages from people, I should say, for quotes on work. So in between all of this, I'm trying to price jobs up and everything and get people booked in. And sometimes, if you don't get back to people quick enough, they sort of double message you saying sort of, have you got any news? Not really understanding that I'm trying to do this all on my own, trying to get all my jobs done while also do all the admin time in between whenever I've got time. So yeah, it's just been a bit stressful, to be honest. I haven't enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm hoping today's going to be more straightforward. And then I'm probably just going to switch my phone off over the weekend and just have a couple of days proper rest and just not think about it. But yeah, I'm trying not to be too moany, but I am. So yeah, let's start with a positive day. I've just got this X3 for a service. I have got the service bits, I know that, I double checked. And then I've got a Golf for a service and a brake fluid change, and I've got a Renault to go and have a look at where the brake pedal is quite spongy. It's going down straight down to the floor, so I'm going to go and have a look at that, see if there's any leaks or anything obvious that we can find. So we'll just start with resetting the service light. So I've already done a fault memory check. There's nothing in there to be concerned about. So we just want to go on there, CBS reset. Same as the, did I show you it on the last X3? I showed you the brakes, didn't I? How to adjust the brakes, but I'll just show you the wheel change. So engine oil's at 0%. That's one we're going to be resetting today because we're doing the oil and filter with the pollen filter. And then the next service will be the oil and filter with the pollen filter, the fuel filter and the air filter. So that will go with the vehicle check. So that coincides there. So that's at 48%. So by the time, once I've reset that into 100, by the time that goes down to 0 again, the vehicle check light will be on as well. So that'll work out nicely. Brake fluid change, that's at 95%. I did the brake fluid change maybe about a month ago or so. So yeah, I'm just going to reset the oil. So that's now saying 100%. And then we can just double check on the iDrive as well, just make sure that it's giving the right information here. Go on to service requirements. So that's in 2 years' time on 19,000 miles. I've just got the oil filter cracked off there. Just going to do the pollen filter, which is just tucked underneath this panel here. Slide that on there. Just get this pollen filter on. A new filter here. There are two filters, but they're kind of taped together. Can be a little bit tricky to get in. So you basically want to get the first one in here, and it sort of tucks underneath like that, and then the other one just sits on top. That's what I mean there. The first one kind of sits deeper in there. And to get this in, you kind of have to bend it a little bit to get it in properly. Like that. And then that will just sit on top. Just make sure it sits all nice and flat like that. Once you've got that cover on, pop this one on there. It's got a little tab there, look. So just push it in so that sits in place. And you can get this seal back on. So we're now with the Renault Megane. He's got a bit of an issue with his brakes where the pedal's going soft. So I'll try and explain to you best as I can what's going on, and then I'll show you sort of my diagnostic process, and hopefully we can find something conclusive with it. So what's happening is when he's driving, you'll press the brake pedal, it will start to brake, you'll feel okay, but it'll get to about that point, probably about halfway, and then it will just suddenly go really soft and it will go down. So I came here maybe about 2 or 3 months ago for this fault. Had a look, and round here was not wet, I would say. It was somewhat damp, sort of around here and around the back of the caliper. It was just slightly damp, not as much as what you'd usually expect for a brake fluid leak, but it was a little bit damp. So we weren't 100% sure whether it was the caliper or the flexi, because to me it looked like it was coming from either around the threads or from around the union, because the old pipe was all sort of bubbled up as well. So we replaced this pipe. I gave him both options. He said, obviously, I said it could be the caliper, it could be the flexi. I said it does look like it's coming from around here, just because of the condition of the pipe. So obviously that being the cheapest, he said, okay, yeah, let's go ahead, let's do the brake flexi first, see how we got on. So replaced that, and it was all good. Bled it all up, it was absolutely fine. And then he just messaged me a few days ago. So I'd say it's probably been about 3 months or something, and then he's just said, oh, it's just starting to feel a little bit soft again. So I'll just go through with you what I've done so far today. So I've got a brake hose clamp, and one by one, so each corner has got a brake flexi like this, and one by one I'll just put it on there, tightened it up and taken it for a drive, and I've confirmed that. So when you're driving without this clamp on, like I say, the pedal's going soft. When I put the clamp on this corner, the driver's side rear, and then I drive it, the brakes work absolutely fine then. put a clamp, like I say, I just tested the other 3, put a clamp on those 3, and again it was going really soft. So it was only when I clamped off this corner, is it when it went firm. So to me, that confirms that the fault is laying from here onwards, basically. And we've replaced this pipe already, so I suspect this caliper either leaking, maybe past the seals where the piston is, or is slightly sticking. But I have noticed as well, I've been on a couple of long journeys recently, and the discs aren't looking too good. So around here, it's got quite a red colour, which is usually an indicator that the brakes have been overheating. So maybe the caliper's been binding, which then overheats the discs. So what I'm going to do is take the caliper off, have a look, see if there's any signs of it leaking around the piston, see if I can push the piston back as well, and just see if it's sticking or anything like that. So this is what I mean. So I have wiped here, but there were some little wet speckles around the caliper. It's not like leaking out like you'd imagine you'd see it all wet around here, but there are little wet speckles on there. And then also on the backing plate as well, just beyond the disc, you can see there it looks a little bit damp. It's kind of hard to see as well, the paint's kind of peeling off, like the brake fluid has gotten on there. So yeah, I think maybe the caliper, whether the seals have gone in the piston, not pouring out a fluid leak, but it may just be enough to allow a bit of air to get in there and cause that spongy pedal. But I'm gonna try and push this piston back as well, just see what that's saying. Yeah, that piston's not going back nicely. Started winding it in, probably went down, I don't know, probably managed to turn it one turn, and then it's just locked up. So yeah, I'm gonna put it down for a new caliper. Get some new disc pads on there as well. You can tell they're not in a good state at all. The last job of the week is just a service and a brake fluid change on this Golf GTI, 17 plate. Nice and simple, straightforward job, but I just want to show you a very common coolant leak on these engines. So like I say, a very common coolant leak on these engines. If you look underneath, you'll notice a lot of dry antifreeze all along the sump, coming from up here, and hopefully I'll be able to show you where it's coming from. Hopefully I can just get the camera to focus enough. See, it's coming just up there. You can usually see it around the bottom as well. That is basically coming from the underneath here. You've got the water pump and thermostat housing, sort of one combined unit. There is a technical bulletin for these that Volkswagen sent out. Same as you'll find on the Audi S3, things like that. All the same engine. This is the 2 litre TSI. So you essentially just need to change that whole unit basically. So I'll just let him know. I'll finish off the service and I'll let him know and get it priced up. That's it for this week. It was a nice straightforward day to finish off the week, to be fair. After, to be honest, it wasn't the nicest week I've had. It was a little bit stressful, sort of little stresses here and there throughout the week really that usually wouldn't be a big problem, but because there was sort of, after a hectic start to the week really, I just kind of felt like I was just on the back foot all the time. So just little things are just bothering me and getting to me a little bit more than they usually do, but yeah, it'll be alright. Next week will be better, I think. That's just how it is, isn't it? Sometimes you get ups and downs throughout the week, don't you? Some weeks are better than others, but yeah, like I say, I'm sure next week will be better. But hopefully you've enjoyed watching the video. If you have, then please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. If you have subscribed already, then by all means let your friends and family know, share it amongst them, and yeah, I'll see you at the next one. Thank you very much for watching.